A situation that has seemingly taken this country by storm. The numbers are staggering. The incidents are increasing almost every single week. You hear numbers that just blow your mind. What is really happening to this country? We will be delving into that, and of course trying to figure out just what exactly is this gender-based violence group, the working group, the technical working group, supposed to do, their mandate and what we can expect, and possible challenges facing them as we speak. So first and foremost, karibu sana to Capital in the Morning. 0701 984 984 is our WhatsApp number. You can also talk to us, ask your questions, pose your concerns, and weigh in on the conversation via X. And that is at 984 in the morning, hashtag drive-in, double N at the end.
We are also on live stream, by the way. So if you want to see how all of us are looking in studio, you can catch the live stream on YouTube, on X, and over at Facebook. Just search for Capital FM Kenya is where you can find us, and send in your questions, really, because this is a conversation that involves not only us guys who are in studio, but the entire country. And now, in honor of International Women's Day, which falls on Saturday, we are celebrating Women's Month here at Capital, and we'll be having some very, very crucial conversations, including the one that we're about to have today.
Absolutely. I'll read the tweet once again from Blinky Penguin, aka Falaris. I think it sums it up pretty well. This IWD 2025, which is the International Women's Day 2025, we're accelerating action against gender-based violence and femicide. Now today, right now, starting this moment, Dr. Nancy Baraza has joined us to break down what's being done and what will need to happen to protect women and drive real change. First and foremost, Karibu, Capital FM. Here you went to Lonro, our former house, but we moved on up, mummy. Back then, at Lonro, actually worked with Yuri.
Yeah, I guess I was looking for my son.
Yeah.
But it's good to know you moved here. It's a lovely place.
Thank you very much. We enjoy it. We're in the mall, so we're the life of the party. It was just important for us to bring the party to somewhere that everyone visits. Yeah.
Pretty nice, yes.
Okay, Karibu Sana. How's your week been? Actually, how's it been since the appointment?
Crazy. It's been busy. There is a lot we are doing. There is a lot that has been done in this area of GBV and with this emerging phenomenon of femicide. So we've been looking at what has been done. If you look at our at the technical working group, the composition, of course we are a 42-member group. In Kenya, representatives, we have people from diverse backgrounds to bring together what we think can be a good think tank for us to approach this work. So it is broad-based, and that is very good. And one reason I say it is very good is because now we don't have to reinvent the wheel in so many areas. What has been lacking is coordination. Work has gone on. Research has been done. Civil society has talked about this thing. They have called for demonstrations. They have
I love the people you're working with, the stakeholders, because it looks like it's very inclusive and it is wholesome, and especially with considering these stakeholders know what's at stake, which is the safety of men and women, especially towards women. I'll lean towards that, so it's very important. But you're also, good thing to go with these high stakes is that you're holding 100 million, which we'll come to a bit later on. But Falaris,
yeah, it's this particular this 42-member national task force on femicide and GBV, of course, has the mandate to investigate the root causes, propose legal and policy reforms, and deliver a comprehensive report within 90 days. Now, I want to focus on the 90 days that a certain report is expected. What key areas will the task force be looking at, or rather focusing on this 90-day report? Because 90 days elapsed maybe sometime next month, if I'm not wrong. What key areas are we looking at, and specific outcomes that have been targeted? Because yes, Kenya is known for reports, but what the action that follows after the report is actually what I'm very, very keen on, as far as the mandate of the task force goes.
I think our TORs are quite comprehensive. we are to look at the legal, the institutional, and the policy frameworks that are in place to address GBV, including femicide. Are they appropriate? Are they adequate? Is there a gap? So that is one of the TORs. We are to look at family. The family is very crucial.
Yeah.
When we are talking about GBV, including femicide. And unfortunately, family, which should be a loving area where people should be comfortable and peaceful and in a loving environment, happens to be one of the sources of GBV,
Correct.
Specifically domestic violence. And so it is one of our TORs to look at the family. Have we lost it as Kenya? Is our family broken? Is it fractured, or is it still a place that we can mend and reclaim our humanity as a society? And of course, if a family is that structure is broken, then society can go into the problems that we are seeing. We are to look at our resource distribution. Okay, is it the weak link? Have we been putting money in the wrong place? Do we need to restructure how we spend our resources as a country? Have we been focusing enough on GBV, now including femicide, as we do our budgeting? Have we been putting there enough? Do we have, for example, shelters for battered men and women? Because and one thing that has caught my attention is GBV then sometimes spills over into femicide, and the pattern has been, it is not a one incident thing. It is reflective of a pattern.
Correct.
Okay, so that if there has been wife battering consistently, chances are it will now become a femicide.
Correct.
So do we have structures and institutions that can take away victims from that situation so that they don't go back to die? Okay, we are to look at awareness creation. Are people aware? Are Kenyans aware of what's going on, of what is causing GBV? Do they know that there is law, like the Sexual Offences Act, the Protection from Domestic Violence Act, which prohibits GBV and protects the victims? Do we know? We make law here and leave it in Nairobi. It never reaches the ordinary people. So probably if they got to know that there are prohibitions, that there are sanctions against wife beating, for example, maybe there would be behavior change. But unfortunately, we live with the law here in Nairobi. The only time most Kenyans interact with the law is when they are getting arrested.
Correct.
Do we need to create awareness in that specific area about the policies that we have, about the law that we have, about our international obligations under the UN Human Rights Conventions, which we have adopted, and they have become part of our domestic law that protect the human rights of both men and women, and especially in the area of violence, of physical harm. So we are to create, we look into the area of awareness. Do we look at our culture? What role is culture playing in all this? What role is patriarchy, for example, playing all this in all this? What are the power dynamics? Because part of this domestic violence is being caused by the changing power dynamics in society.
Correct.
Here we are, we've created, we have endeavored, or we are endeavoring to create an equal society. Men and women are equal. Okay, the power dynamics, therefore, are changing.
They've shifted, yeah.
They are shifting. We are pumping money into girls and boys equally. Here you are, all of you, men and women, doing the great job. We have lawyers, men, women, doctors, journalists, teachers, everybody, men and women, probably 50-50. And yet, the framework, the cultural framework in which we operate hasn't changed. So that you get these successful men and women, and one of them is supposed to be the weak agenda or the less agenda.
Yeah.
So we haven't come up with institutional or policy or just social programs to educate wananchi that things have changed. And this one, I'm my good student. You know, I teach at the University of Nairobi, Faculty of Law. So my students talk to me, and these are young men. And they came to me and they said, look, we have created equality, but nobody has gone out there to tell the young men that things have changed. Okay, at home we are told women are the ones to cook. And nobody has ever told us why it is women to cook. You know, these are young men.
Correct.
So I'm getting encouraged that with the right messaging, right information, probably things can change. So that framework, cultural framework within which we are having these dynamics navigated, I think is something that we need to look into.
I like that she touched on culture, because then the very basis of family is very much has an influence. I mean, culture has the influence when it comes to family dynamics, which is really the grounds at which a lot of domestic violence starts from. So I like the aspect of culture, which a lot of people might not have considered. And, you know, I have two questions, but I think I'll wait for you, because mine is on one, the institutional challenges that we keep seeing when it comes to dealing with matters GBV and femicide. And second to that would be, of course, the grassroots level, because a lot of the times when we go out and protest is based on what has been reported, but how many cases go unreported, and how many of these exist at grassroots level where there is no form of communication when it comes to kids who are being, you know, kids who are getting married at age 12, 10, whatever, because there's an aspect of gender-based violence in that. So, Chico, I would let you go first.
I'm trying to be silent and listen in, because it's a dangerous playing field for me as a man, because you ask the wrong question and boom, the entire society collapses. Because my question would probably be, what do you mean men and women are equal? I'd like an understanding to that.
That women are equal?
Men and women are equal. To what extent are we? I don't want to detract from this conversation. That's why I'm asking this question, so I can get a proper perspective as to where we're leading this.
I think, you know, historically, we have had gender, the dynamics of gender favoring men. That's a cultural and historical reality. In terms of even people getting
work,
access,
employment, corporate, voting, that's what we're talking about.
Education, everything.
Okay.
Being given opportunities. It hasn't been there because of our historical reality.
Correct.
But today, society has changed. And if we are talking about Kenya, we even promulgated a very progressive constitution. Luckily, I was part of that constitution making. Yeah. And Article 27(4) guarantees equality and non-discrimination on the basis of gender and sex. That is a guarantee. And those guarantees, we were reflecting the international human rights law, the CEDAW, those guarantees in international law, which is now part of our domestic law. the Maputo Protocol, all of them creating or guaranteeing or calling upon state parties to put in place constitutional and legislative measures to guarantee men and women equality. And so that has been happening. And on the basis of that, there is equality in terms of education access. And they are doing very well. Boys and girls are working hard. They are competing. I'm a teacher at the university, and this is what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
There is so much competition. Sometimes boys are at the top, sometimes girls are at the top, competing for the first class. So equal opportunities, equal protection of the law is now guaranteed. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. I get
That's
with that aspect of equality, because while I agree there are opportunities, equality, and equitable distribution of opportunities must be upheld, I still maintain that men and women are different. And when you bring in the cultural aspect, that's where now my concern came in. Because, well, actually, I should ask this. From your research so far, back in the time, I understand that like police brutality and misbehavior of the youth, it's something that wasn't captured because we didn't have these platforms like social media. Would you say back in the earlier days there was less GBV as compared to now, or is it just a case of now exposure is what's really selling the point?
GBV has always been there.
Yeah.
It is a menace. It is a danger we have lived with. I don't know if you know about the International Federation of Women Lawyers, FIDA. I myself, Honorable Martha Karua, Honorable Njokin Dungu of the Supreme Court, Honorable the Chief Justice Martha Koome herself, we are the ones who formed the FIDA as young Gen Zs out of law school.
Yeah.
We are the ones who formed it. And that was informed by the lack of protection, the lack of law that protected or took into account the concerns of women. So we formed that organization and we focused on GBV. We are the first people to start talking about GBV. And so it has been there. And we saw horrific cases during that time. It hasn't ended. But the level of reporting has increased. But GBV has been there. The level of reporting. And also, I think the forms of GBV have kept changing and shifting so that